The Seelie Court. The next morning rolled around swiftly. Shaylee had been preparing for the last arrivals of her allies in the Seelie Court and could not wait to get some answers. The previous day had been a huge one, and Serena was still fast asleep, which was a good thing, as Shaylee did not want her anywhere near the meeting. There was a guard posted outside her room to distract her with some training once she eventually awoke. The large meeting hall was much bigger than that of the council's foreland rooms. It was at the rear of the palace, through the entrance to the cliff face, on the mountainside of the enormous dwelling, far enough away so that dark eyes and ears could not learn anything. Each of the members was screened as they walked, fluttered, hobbled, or slid into the long torchlit hallway. Stexenzar and his best Elvenfae guards were the ones screening, and the process seemed to go smoothly as each member was known to the Queen and to the chief guards. If any Fae of the Unseelie appeared, the crystal of the palace would light up from an old spell cast in the days of the Dark War. Most of the Fae were benevolent creatures. Some weren't even friends with the palace or the Queen, but they had an understanding after the destruction of the Dark War and the recent events that took place in Malenflit. One such Fae was Galenthark Quartermoon, a leader among his tribes, a cunning warrior and stubborn as they come. He was of the Fardarig clan, Fae who were dangerous and mischievous. They were benevolent to Faelynn, but sinister to humans, and were known for kidnapping them and creating horrific sounds to torment them with. They would even take human babies and replace them with changelings. This hadn't happened for a while, as the realm doors were closed after the Sinisters arrived, but they had stopped their mischievous behavior long ago anyway, after a compromise had been reached with the Queen to leave the human realm alone. Now, they hunted more for treasures and made gold for the leprechauns who dwelled in the far lands near Malenflit. Galenthark's short stature never concerned him until he stood next to an Elvenfae, when he would always quip about them being inbred with humans at the dawn of time, and that's why they were so ugly. But the Elvenfae were not. They were the direct ancestors of the Tuatha De Danann, the first of the Fae, mixed with the original magic in Faelynn. He knew all the legends, but loved to stir the Elvenfae up anyway. As he moved closer to Stexenzar, his short red cape flowing, he adjusted his large red cap and scratched his gray beard. His people were a little taller than a gnome, but far trickier. Hitching his sword hilt up and lighting his pipe, Galenthark stood under Stexenzar's shadow, looking up as the torchlit room created somewhat of a half-light in the hallway. Stexenzar knew he was there, but tried to ignore him. It was never wise to make the first quip to a redcap, and Stex knew this all too well. It just wasn't worth the trouble, and he did not want to get offside with Shaylee, as she was under enough stress. Gathering all these different Fae species into one area was always a mission for her mother and father in the past, as some did not get along with others. Galenthark lightly tapped Stex on his foot, which was covered in metal armor, to gain his attention, and in doing so, Stexenzar looked down and kindly whispered, "My old friend Galenthark, the human lover." Stex knew that quip would not sit well with the redcap, but he couldn't help himself. In anticipation of a retort, Stexenzar leaned down to hear what Galenthark would say back to him.
"I see the human side to you is still reeking. Do you need to wash your shite-written mouth out every time you speak? Oh, and I see you're not getting any smaller. It still blows me mind how y'all can stack cow shite that high."
Stexenzar just stared at the Fardarig for a moment, taking his comments in, while the redcap lit his pipe again and blew some smoke up, waiting for a response. Stexenzar straightened and burst out laughing. Galenthark was shocked. He was expecting a to and fro for a while, but when he saw Stexenzar's response, he too burst into roaring laughter.